Okay, I'm spitballing here, but I'm betting many of you were expecting this to pop up earlier this month. You were all thinking, oh, no way he's going to put it at this spot. Well, more fool you, because On Her Majesty's Secret Service is, honestly, one of the best Bond films ever made. Not just that it's one of the best adaptations of the source material, in fact, I'm going to be bold and say it's better than the book. While practically everything that happens in the book does happen in the movie, more is added to this, and as a result, the characters are given more to do, and the core relationship between Bond and his leading lady is given more development. This is the Bond film that decided to put plot first and focus on Bond as a human being as opposed to just an agent. When it comes to the majority of the women Bond frolics with, it's usually business related and involves the acquisition of information. This is what Archer calls the honeypot. What's fascinating about this film is that when Bond meets Tracy, you actually see the connection build between the two of them. What is it about Tracy that makes her so special as opposed to every other woman Bond has bedded? Well, apart from the obvious factor of it being Diana Rigg, because Diana Rigg is the full package of amazing, Tracy has a similar melancholy to Bond. Both of them are people who have seen the world and have both experienced the pangs of isolation. Where Bond buries his anguish in work, booze, and women, Tracy settles on reckless living. And what's more, that for both, old habits are hard to break. Bond shows legitimate interest in Tracy, but when her father offers a lead on Blofeld, Tracy can't help but think that Bond is just using her. Bond feels compelled to console her, and unlike Bond's other conquest, a real romance forms. Now, you're probably going to poke holes in this by pointing out all the women at Piz Gloria that Bond gets cozy with. Well, if he loves Tracy, why does he sleep with them? Because that was the only way he was ever going to get information about them. We saw Irma Bunt. She told them not to divulge their personal information, and Bond knew that was the only way he could obtain it. Ultimately, and even in the book, Tracy was never far from Bond's mind, and seeing her again, and her saving him, and not to mention, seriously, killing it in a car chase, how could Bond not want to marry her? I'll say it again, Diana Rigg! But there's so much more going on in this movie. Blofeld is back to being a puppet master, but unlike previous movies, he has no problem getting out of the chair and doing the dirty work himself. This time, Blofeld is played by Telly Savalas, and I know some may consider it heresy, and after my praise of Christoph Waltz, you'll accuse hypocrisy. But in truth, Telly Savalas is the best Blofeld. I know, but come on guys. Savalas makes supervillainy look so casual, and the way he talks about unleashing a viral attack across the world makes him more akin to a successful real estate salesman. His confidence makes him so enjoyable to listen to, but then you see him set off an avalanche to kill Bond. Also, later engages Bond in a bobsled chase. And also, as an extra punctuation of his threat level, he's the one driving when Irma Bunt slaughters Tracy. And, while we're on the subject, that death scene is a masterpiece of staging and direction. In most action movies, when the hero characters dodge the drive-by, you usually bank on them being alright, but this drive-by happens so fast, and it's so obtrusive, that your thought is, go get the bastard. Then you don't ponder the welfare of the characters, but then the penny drops. To his credit, Lazenby plays this scene the way you'd expect Bond to react. Bond is so used to seeing friends and colleagues die that he's programmed to feel a certain way. This, however, is something different. You can see Bond has a hard time reading it initially. It's a gorgeously made final scene, and it is so hard to watch, even if you know it's coming. Now, while we're on the topic of acting, I know you're waiting on me to address the Lazenby in the room. Lazenby is just fine. That's it. He's not horrible, and he's not mind-shreddingly amazing. He's just fine. He's like a smartphone on default settings. The package on its own is adequate, but it needs some upgrades before it reaches peak functionality. Honestly, for a guy with no real acting experience, the man actually carries the movie with considerable confidence. I had no problem watching this and accept that this was still James Bond. If anything, I'm sad he didn't do another one, because with all the experience he undoubtedly gained upon making this exceptional film, he more than likely would have totally killed it in the next one. You watch him in this and his repartee with all the more seasoned performers, and he never feels like the little fish in the big pond. He actually conducts himself with the grace and gravitas the role requires. It's pointless gauging his mettle as Bond, particularly comparing him to his predecessor. That'd be like betting on Petula Wilcox in her title bout with Ken Clean Air System. 2%er joke for the win, ha! You just have to accept that this is Bond, and Lazenby actually makes it a hell of a lot easier than you think. Fortunately, he gets able support from a great cast, strong directing, and one of the best scripts based on one of the best novels in the series.